Maybe it has been a long day. The world feels a little heavy, and your thoughts keep circling, soft but restless. You can rest now. Let them drift. Somewhere beyond the quiet horizon, a single thread of light is still moving through the dark, slow, patient, unwilling to leave. It bends around invisible curves, humming through the silence, tracing the memory of a star that once burned bright. In that darkness, nothing is lost. Even light, when it forgets the way home, becomes part of the space that holds everything together. Tonight, you'll listen to what silence sounds like when the universe folds itself inward. Close your eyes if you'd like, and let's drift together, far beyond the spiral arms of any galaxy. A faint mist of gas and ancient dust drifts in silence. Gravity begins to gather it, softly, patiently, pulling every grain closer until a quiet pressure builds at its heart. In the stillness between particles, warmth is born. The darkness folds inward, and from it, the pulse of a new star begins to rise. Astronomers believe that when the gas grows dense enough, hydrogen atoms fuse into helium, releasing light and heat in every direction. It is not an explosion, but a steady rhythm, an agreement between inward pull and outward push, between gravity and fire. This balance creates a shining equilibrium, a living heartbeat of plasma. A star is not merely lit, it breathes, glowing across the long night of the universe. Over time, the star continues this calm labor. Deep within, fusion sustains the delicate conversation between pressure and collapse. Every photon that escapes from its core takes thousands of years to reach the surface, moving through layers of gas like a whisper through fog. When it finally slips free, it joins the cosmic sea, traveling outward to light worlds it will never see. In this quiet persistence, stars teach patience. Their brilliance is simply time made visible. But even stars grow old. As their supply of hydrogen fades, the balance begins to shift. The core contracts, heating fiercely, while the outer layers expand and cool to a red, gentle glow. This is the red giant stage, the slow exhale of a long-lived flame. For some, the cycle ends in peace, shrinking into a white dwarf, a small pearl of memory. For others, heavier and prouder, gravity pulls too hard, and collapse becomes destiny. In that inward fall, something unseen begins to form. Every ending begins with a quiet breath. The life of a star is not a tale of fire alone, but of balance. The grace between burning and resting, even as its heart contracts and its light begins to dim. The universe listens. It holds the warmth like a memory of dawn, waiting for what comes next. And so the story of a black hole begins, not in violence, but in silence, when a star's final heartbeat fades into the gravity that once gave it life. At the end of a long stellar life, gravity begins to whisper louder than light. Deep inside the fading heart of a giant star, fusion falters. The outward pressure that once held gravity in balance weakens, like the final breath of something ancient and kind. Without that steady push from within, the core folds inward under its own weight, faster and deeper, as if the universe itself were drawing a slow, inevitable sigh. As the collapse begins, matter is crushed into densities beyond imagination. Atoms lose their boundaries. Even the space between particles disappears. In that moment, gravity is no longer a force. It becomes the shape of everything, space bends inward, not in anger, but in order. Time stretches, drawn thin by the pull of what can no longer release. Scientists call this a singularity, but the word barely holds its meaning. It is not a place, but a condition, where every rule known to physics leans inward and waits for silence. Around this invisible center, something delicate forms, a border where light hesitates. Photons, which once escaped freely into space, now curve back toward the darkness. The very fabric of space-time begins to fold, the way a hand closes around a fragile flame to keep it from vanishing. The birth of a black hole is not destruction, it is protection. The universe, in its quiet wisdom, hides the exhausted light of a dying star inside itself, wrapping it in gravity's soft and absolute embrace. From afar, the collapse seems violent, but in truth, it is serene. There is no explosion, only a vanishing one moment. The star glows red and immense. The next, it is gone, leaving behind an invisible rhythm that still influences the dance of nearby stars. Astronomers describe it as a curvature so deep that not even light can climb out. Yet in the language of stillness, it feels more like a folding, a tender closing of one story before another begins. Time behaves differently here. Near the edge of this new gravity well, every second stretches toward infinity. To an observer watching from safety, the collapse appears to slow, the star's surface frozen in its final moment, dimming into red, then fading into black. But within, time continues, unstoppable, folding ever tighter. What seems eternal from outside is, from within, only an instant, a single heartbeat of the cosmos. Even gravity has its gentleness. It does not rage against light. It gathers it. It does not erase. It keeps. The black hole, though unseen, becomes a cradle for what once burned, a quiet keeper of memory. And somewhere, in the space between falling and stillness, the universe exhales. What was once a star becomes a silence so complete it hums, a reminder that even endings can be tender when they belong to the stars. When a star fades, it does not vanish. The light it once released continues to travel, crossing distances so vast that entire civilizations might rise and fall before its final glow reaches another world. What ends in one place lingers elsewhere, a faint echo of warmth still threading through the dark. Astronomers say that when we look at the night sky, we are looking into the past, seeing stars not as they are, but as they were. The universe is filled with the ghosts of light, each one carrying a memory of fire. That light, gentle and persistent, moves endlessly without asking to be seen. It passes through dust and shadow, bends around gravity, and sometimes finds its way to a quiet planet where someone, one night, lifts their eyes to the sky. In that moment, two forms of memory meet. The memory of the star that once burned, and the memory of the one who remembers it. Across the gulf of space, the act of looking becomes a kind of communion, a silent greeting between existence and time. Every dying star teaches the same quiet truth, that brightness and silence are not opposites, but parts of the same rhythm. Energy never truly disappears, it transforms, slipping from form to form, from flame to radiation, from warmth to motion, from existence into remembrance. The universe does not mourn what it loses. It carries it forward in another shape, softer, slower, still alive in meaning, if not in light. In that way, even darkness is a form of keeping. Humans, too, are bound by this rhythm. Our lives flare for a while, brief compared to the age of stars, but bright in their own small spectrum. We burn with curiosity, with love, with fear and hope. And then, in time, we cool. Yet what we leave behind, a word, a gesture, a trace of warmth, moves outward, unseen but real. Just like starlight, it travels on, long after the source has gone quiet. Perhaps every thought we release, every kindness we offer, continues to drift somewhere, shaping the silence it passes through. The night sky reminds us that endings are never absolute. Every point of light above you is proof that something once shone with fierce devotion, and that the universe chose not to forget. Our bodies, our breath, our cells, all are made of those remnants. The carbon and oxygen born in stellar cores billions of years ago. The memory of fire lives inside us, glowing faintly beneath the rhythm of our own hearts. And so, when a star fades, it is not a death, but a return. A returning of energy to the wide fabric that once gave it form. It rests in silence, yes, but not in absence. The universe keeps its promises. It holds every flicker, every spark, every quiet heartbeat of light. What began as fire becomes memory, and what lives as memory never truly goes dark. There is a place where light hesitates. It does not vanish all at once, but slows, bending towards something unseen, as though caught in a current. It can no longer resist. Astronomers call this threshold the event horizon, the boundary where escape becomes impossible. Even for light, it is not a wall, nor a surface, but a region in space where gravity grows so strong that every path curves inward. Time itself leans toward the center, its steps stretching longer and slower until movement turns to stillness. From a distance, it looks as if the star has paused, suspended between being and not being. To imagine it, think of a waterfall made not of water, but of time. Far upstream, the river flows gently, smooth, and familiar. As it approaches the edge, the pull beneath grows stronger until each ripple is drawn downward with no chance of turning back. A boat drifting too close can still row away for a while, but only until it crosses the silent lip of the fall, and then it is gone. In the same way, the fabric of space-time near a black hole bends downward. Outside the horizon, light can still struggle upward. At the edge, it stands still. Beyond, even light must fall. Scientists describe this with mathematics that curve and twist like the thing itself. But no number can truly express what happens there. The event horizon is where the universe begins to whisper. You can know this far, but no farther. It is the edge of comprehension, a veil between what we can measure and what we can only imagine. Inside, time and space exchange places. What was once direction becomes duration, and every route leads inward. To those who watch from afar, the moment of crossing seems eternal. The traveler, be it a particle or a beam of light, appears to freeze, redshifted and fading, never quite disappearing, as if the universe were reluctant to let go. Yet from within that fall, the journey continues smoothly, unaware that the rest of existence has slowed to a stop. Two realities coexist, one that ends and one that moves beyond ending. There is something deeply human in this paradox. We, too, stand at horizons of our own understanding, reaching as far as reason allows, then pausing at the edge of mystery. The event horizon is not only the boundary of a black hole, it is a metaphor for the places our minds cannot cross, the threshold where knowing turns into wonder. Perhaps this is why the cosmos feels so vast, not because it withholds its secrets, but because it reminds us that mystery itself is part of the design. The boundary that never returns is not a warning, but an invitation to look closer, to imagine farther, to accept that some lights are meant to linger at the edge. What lies beyond cannot be seen, yet its presence shapes everything around it. And in that unseen gravity, the universe teaches a gentle truth, that every horizon is both an ending and a beginning, a quiet curve where knowledge bows to awe. To fall toward a black hole is to enter a dialogue between time and gravity. The journey does not begin with a violent pull, but with a gradual surrender. At first, the fall feels ordinary, almost gentle. The surrounding stars still shine, the light still moves, and every thought still has a rhythm. Yet, as the traveler drifts closer to the event horizon, space itself begins to change shape. Each meter forward becomes heavier than the last, as though the universe were thickening, slowing, reshaping the flow of moments into something dense and patient. From the outside, an observer watches this descent unfold with a growing sense of stillness. To them, time stretches like taffy, each second taking longer to pass. The falling traveler seems to slow, to hover, to pause. The colors of their light shift toward red, then fade. It is as though the universe has pressed the pause button on their existence. The person never quite crosses the boundary. Their image lingers, dimming infinitely but never vanishing. For the watcher, this is the paradox of the horizon. It looks eternal, yet it hides what happens next. Inside that fall, the story is entirely different. For the traveler themselves, time does not slow. It flows steadily, even smoothly. The crossing of the horizon feels seamless. No flash, no barrier, no warning. One moment, the stars are visible. The next, they are gone, hidden behind a curtain that cannot be lifted. The traveler does not notice the moment of no return, because there is no signal, no mark to cross, only the feeling of being drawn inward, guided by the invisible hand of gravity. To them, the fall is not death, but continuity. Physicists describe this as time dilation, the stretching of time under intense gravity. But the experience is less like science and more like music. Two rhythms playing at once. For the one watching, the heartbeat of the fall slows towards silence. For the one falling, the heartbeat continues, unbroken. Two tempos, both true, existing in harmony though they never meet again. From far away, it seems frozen. From within, it never stops. In this difference lies a quiet truth about perception. Reality depends on where you stand in space and time. The same event can be both infinite and fleeting, both still and alive. The black hole becomes a mirror for all existence, how each perspective tells its own version of the same unfolding. To fall through the horizon is to understand the truth is not singular, but curved. And yet, within the curvature of that fall, there is peace. There is no struggle, No panic, no sound. The traveler does not fight gravity. They become part of it. The universe, in its patience, absorbs them the way the sea absorbs rain. What seems like an ending from afar feels, from within, like a return. Time continues softly, without witness, a rhythm kept in the heart of gravity, forever beating in silence. There are moments when motion becomes invisible, when the pace of life slows to a hush, and we mistake quiet for stillness. Yet beneath the surface, something is always moving, slow, patient, unseen. Just as a traveler falling into a black hole never feels the stop that others see, we too move through our own horizons without noticing the shift. From far away, a pause may look like an ending. From within, it is simply a deepening, a descent into another layer of being. Time behaves this way for all things that live and fade. It does not halt, even when our perception tells us it has. The seconds between heartbeats, the silences between breaths, the long nights when nothing seems to change, all of them are part of the same current. Like light bending through gravity, we are carried by invisible forces that reshape us without sound or spectacle. The illusion of stillness is not the absence of movement, but its gentlest form, the motion of things too subtle to be seen. In the black hole's pull, the traveler becomes one with the flow of space-time. There is no resistance left, no need to measure or compare, only the sensation of moving endlessly inward, where distance and direction lose meaning. Perhaps the same is true for us. There are seasons when we stop striving, when we feel suspended in the quiet gravity of our own thoughts. Yet that stillness is not emptiness. It is transformation taking its time. Growth often happens in silence, and change rarely announces itself. The paradox of falling through the horizon mirrors the paradox of living. That to remain in motion sometimes means to surrender. The more we fight stillness, the more restless we become. But when we accept it, movement returns, gentle and real. The universe does not rush, and neither must we. In its grand design, everything expands and contracts at the rhythm it was meant to follow. Even when we seem frozen, the story continues quietly, faithfully, beneath awareness. So when your days feel like pauses, remember this: nothing in the cosmos truly stops. Every heartbeat carries you forward. Every breath folds you deeper into the fabric of time. Stillness is only another way of traveling, a slower orbit around the same unseen center. The stars, the falling light, the pull of gravity, all are moving even in silence. And perhaps that is the most comforting truth of all, that in every quiet moment, you are still part of the universe's motion, drifting calmly through its endless breadth. Imagine the universe not as empty space, but as a vast, invisible fabric, soft, continuous, and alive with quiet tension. It stretches in every direction, holding galaxies, stars, and planets within its weave. This is space-time, the stage upon which everything that exists performs its slow and endless dance. It is not separate from matter, but shaped by it, curved gently wherever mass resides. Like a sheet drawn down by the weight of a single pearl. In this fabric, gravity is not a pull, but the path things follow when space itself bends. Einstein once described this bending as the way the universe listens to matter. Every planet, every atom, every ray of light presses its presence into space-time, and space-time responds by curving in return. The sun bends the path of Earth. The Earth bends the path of the moon. And together, they ripple through the cosmic cloth, their gravity creating patterns too delicate for eyes to see. The universe, then, is not a rigid structure but a living geometry, one that breathes, flexes, and sways with every motion of mass and light. If you could see space-time, it would shimmer faintly, a web of lines shifting with each passing second. Every movement, from the spin of a galaxy to the fall of a single grain of dust, sends a ripple outward, a soft vibration across the endless expanse. These ripples are gravitational waves, echoes of motion traveling at the speed of light. Scientists have detected them now, faint tremors that confirm what theory long suggested, that the universe itself has texture, that it feels every heartbeat of its stars. Each wave is a whisper in the cosmic fabric, the memory of something that moved. And like a blanket spread wide, space-time is both shelter and connection. It holds everything close without walls or boundaries. Where matter is dense, the weave draws inward. Where it is thin, the threads relax and open. Even the black hole, which seems like a hole in the fabric, is really a fold so deep that light cannot climb out. Nothing is truly separate. Every motion, every thought, every breath exists as a pattern stitched into this infinite tapestry, each influencing the next in ways subtle and profound. Every movement is a ripple in the universe's blanket. Even your stillness creates shape, your mass, your warmth, your presence gently bending the space around you. We are not above this fabric or outside it. We are woven into it, strands of energy and matter looping through time's weave. The stars stretch it, the galaxies shape it, and the quiet gravity of existence keeps it from unraveling. The cosmos is not just a place, it is a texture of connection, a reminder that to exist is to leave an imprint. Every orbit, every heartbeat, every drifting photon is a thread in this grand design. And as we move, breathe, and rest, the fabric responds with a subtle, unending rhythm, the soundless hum of a universe alive, holding us gently within its fold. There is a place near every black hole where the pull of gravity is not uniform. The difference between top and bottom, near and far, becomes so immense that it stretches whatever crosses its path. A body falling feet first would feel its lower half tugged faster than its head, its shape drawn out like a thread pulled from fabric. Astronomers call this spaghettification, but the name hides its grace. It is not a tearing, it is a surrender. Matter doesn't explode, it elongates, aligning itself with the invisible curve of space-time, following the same path as light itself. This effect begins gently, like a tide. Far from the black hole, the forces are balanced, almost delicate. Closer in, the tide becomes a current, and the current becomes a pull that knows no equal. Space stretches, time stretches, and soon the two cannot be told apart. Where space narrows, time widens, as if one dimension must yield to preserve the other. In the equations of physics, this is the geometry of extreme gravity. In the language of the cosmos, it is the moment when existence learns to flow instead of resist. If you could watch this from a distance, you would see the object lengthen until it seems endless, not destroyed, but transformed into a slender filament of time and matter, reaching toward the center where the fabric of space-time folds back on itself. Within that fold, the lines of space do not end. They converge. Every stretched particle becomes part of the same direction, the same inward curve that defines the heart of the black hole. To stretch is not to break, but to become part of the line that leads inward. Inside that pull, the difference between motion and stillness fades. Every part of what was once separate now shares a single fate: to follow the geometry of gravity's will. The same mathematics that shape galaxies also describe this fall, only on a smaller, more intimate scale. It is the same pattern repeated endlessly, from the spiral arms of the Milky Way to the unseen fibers of space-time near a singularity. The universe doesn't change its design, it simply changes its scale. There is a strange beauty in such precision. What seems like destruction is actually structure, the reordering of space and time into perfect alignment. The cosmos, in its quiet balance, wastes nothing. What stretches is not lost, but absorbed into continuity. The fall inward becomes a joining, the way rivers merge into the sea. The self becomes a part of the whole, a filament woven into infinity. And though no one can witness what happens beyond that final horizon, physics suggests that the stretching never truly ends. It only slows into the same timeless rhythm that guides every star, every orbit, every breath of matter through the void. Gravity is not cruelty, but completion, an invitation to follow the line back to its source. To fall inward is to return, and to be stretched across time is simply to become part of the universe's longest thread, one that never snaps, only narrows into the silence that waits at the center. To let go is not to disappear. It is to ease into something larger, to release resistance until what you are begins to move with what has always been. The black hole teaches this lesson without words. Everything that crosses its boundary is stretched, not broken, drawn into alignment with the shape of the universe itself. What once struggled against gravity now becomes part of its flow, a single thread in the infinite curve of space-time. In this way, surrender becomes participation and loss becomes continuity. Human lives follow a quieter version of that same law. We hold on to moments, to people, to the idea that the shape of things should remain as we remember them. Yet every force in nature reminds us otherwise. Time pulls at us gently, reshaping who we are and what we carry. Even ourselves obey this truth, renewing and fading in cycles so subtle we rarely notice. To live is to stretch through time, not rigidly, but fluidly, allowing each version of ourselves to blend into the next. Just as matter flows into energy, identity flows into memory, and memory into silence. The universe does not see letting go as an ending. When a star releases its light, it is not diminished. When gravity folds that light into its heart, it is not destroyed. The energy remains, transformed into the pulse of space, into warmth that ripples outward through eternity. Letting go, then, is not an act of vanishing, but of returning. A transition from being something separate to being part of the whole. It is the quiet acceptance that the shape of life is never fixed. only ever unfolding. If you watch the night sky long enough, you will see this in motion. Stars die and are reborn from the same clouds of dust. Galaxies drift apart, yet remain tied by the same invisible threads. Even your own breath mirrors this rhythm. The inhale that gathers, the exhale that releases, both necessary for the cycle to continue. To resist is to tighten the thread. To release is to let the pattern complete itself. In that soft unwinding, the self expands, finding space between each thought, each heartbeat, each memory. Perhaps this is what it means to be part of the cosmos, not to cling, but to belong. We are not separate from the gravity that pulls, nor from the time that stretches. Every moment of acceptance, every breath that says, "This too," is a way of bending gently toward the larger structure we inhabit. In surrender, there is alignment. In alignment, there is peace. To let go is to find shape within the greater design, to feel yourself stretched, not broken, across the fabric of time. Even as you fade from one moment into another, you remain a part of the pattern, a quiet continuation of what began long before you and will continue long after. The universe keeps you within its curve, teaching in silence what every falling star already knows, that nothing held too tightly can stay, and nothing released with grace is ever truly lost. Around every black hole, there is movement, a slow, spiraling waltz of dust, gas, and shattered fragments of stars. Though the center is silent, its surroundings hum with energy. The black hole does not pull this matter in all at once. Instead, gravity gathers it into a flat, glowing circle called the accretion disk. Here, particles swirl in perfect obedience to the laws of motion and heat. Each grain of dust, each atom of gas, traces an orbit shaped by gravity's invisible hand. In this turning, chaos becomes choreography, and darkness gives rise to light. The physics of this dance are both simple and profound. As matter falls toward the black hole, it cannot drop straight in. It carries angular momentum, the same subtle spin that keeps planets circling the sun. This spin forces the material into a disk, where it rubs and collides with itself, generating friction far greater than any furnace known to humankind. The temperature rises to millions of degrees. At that heat, atoms shed their electrons and release radiation so powerful that it outshines entire galaxies. From the edge of a black hole, the darkest object in existence, comes some of the brightest light the universe has ever made. To the eye of a distant observer, this light forms a halo, an uneven, shimmering ring around a dark center. The pattern flickers and bends, distorted by gravity's lens, a vision both haunting and precise. Each flash of brilliance is the echo of a collision, a brief moment when pressure turns into radiance. The closer the matter moves to the center, the faster it spins, its orbit tightening like a spiral drawn into infinity. And just before crossing the event horizon, the energy peaks, a final burst before silence. Then, all at once, it vanishes, absorbed into the void. Yet even that disappearance is not loss. The light released along the way continues outward, carrying the story of what happened there. Telescopes on Earth can catch fragments of that story. X-rays, gamma rays, pulses of heat. the fingerprints of matter's last dance. Scientists study these signals not to defy the mystery, but to listen to it, to trace how pressure becomes light, how destruction becomes creation. In the black hole's gravity, every collision becomes a form of music, every orbit a note in a cosmic melody older than life itself. Where pressure grows, light is born. The accretion disk is a reminder that even within the pull of annihilation, there is beauty in persistence. Matter resists not through defiance, but through transformation, giving up its shape to become illumination. In its spiral, there is rhythm. In its heat, there is grace. The black hole, so often imagined as the end of everything, is also an engine of beginnings. It gathers, it crushes, it ignites. And from that tension, light escapes, a quiet testimony to the truth that even the deepest gravity cannot erase creation, only refine it into its purest form. Encircling the black hole is a ring of fire, not chaos, not destruction, but the last luminous breath of matter before it falls into silence. This halo, born from the friction of the accretion disk, glows with a brilliance that defies the darkness it surrounds. It is a circle of light forever chasing its own shadow, orbiting a center where nothing escapes. In that balance between illumination and absence, the universe reveals one of its most beautiful contradictions, that light is never so alive as when it stands at the edge of vanishing. The brightness we see from afar is the farewell of energy, the final signature of atoms giving up their motion. As gas swirls toward the horizon, friction transforms its descent into radiance. Each particle, stretched and heated beyond recognition, releases its remaining strength as light, as if offering back what it once borrowed from the stars. This energy, though doomed to fade, does not resist its fate. It circles the darkness in acceptance, tracing paths of gold and crimson through the void, until it dissolves into quiet. The black hole consumes, but only after being crowned by beauty. From a distance, the ring resembles a burning crown, a perfect symmetry that trembles under the distortion of gravity. It flickers, bends, and shifts, creating an illusion of eternity, a loop of light that never seems to end. This is not mere reflection, it is reverence, the cosmos bowing to its own law. Matter obeys gravity, yet in that obedience it becomes art, painting arcs of flame on the edge of nothingness. Even here, in the most extreme corner of existence, the language of creation persists, heat into color, motion into form, resistance into grace. Scientists studying this luminous ring call it the photon sphere, the region where light caught by gravity's pull circles the black hole instead of escaping or falling in. It is a place of perfect compromise. Light neither leaves nor surrenders, but moves endlessly in orbit, balanced between freedom and fate. In the human sense, it is like a thought you cannot release, looping quietly in the mind, glowing with its own persistence. The black hole does not demand that light vanish. It simply bends its path into harmony. Every source of energy, before it fades, leaves a trace, a glow, a warmth, a vibration that lingers in the fabric of time. Stars do this when they die, and we do this in smaller ways, in words spoken, gestures made, moments shared. Energy, by its nature, remembers. The ring of fire around a black hole is the universe remembering itself, a promise that nothing ends without shining first. Light doesn't fear darkness, it defines it. The fire that circles silence is proof that endings can be radiant, that surrender can shimmer, and that the cosmos, in all its cold precision, still allows for beauty to bloom at the edge of oblivion. In the presence of so much gravity, light continues to move, not to escape, but to honor the stillness it encircles, burning gently in a dance that never truly ends. Every flame has a final shimmer, a soft moment before it fades, when the air glows brightest. The ring of light around a black hole is this same moment, the last trace of energy turning into radiance. In its orbit, light accepts its end without fear, circling the darkness that will soon claim it. Yet instead of despair, it becomes luminous. The edge of loss, it seems, is where beauty gathers itself most completely. The closer it comes to silence, the more gracefully it shines. We see this pattern repeated in every corner of existence. A sunset flares just before it slips behind the horizon. A leaf burns gold before it falls. Even the quiet breath of a dying star becomes a halo of light visible across galaxies. Beauty, in the language of the universe, is not permanence but transition. The soft threshold between being and release. It is as if creation saves its most delicate art for the moments it is about to change form, painting its final light against the face of what will soon be night. Humans are no different. We shine most clearly not when life feels infinite, but when it feels fragile. At the turning points, when something ends, when a door closes, when silence replaces sound, our presence becomes sharper, our awareness deeper. The light within us, the one made from thought, memory, and breath, glows more vividly when we understand how brief it is. Even in heartbreak, there is brilliance, the mind reflecting, the heart opening, the self softening into acceptance. In the same way that matter becomes light before it vanishes, we too radiate understanding before change carries us forward. Beauty at the edge is not about triumph. It is about clarity. The light around the black hole does not fight for survival. It burns because burning is what it knows, because illumination is its way of leaving. So too with us, to love, to create, to forgive are all ways of shining before the silence. The end of one form is always the beginning of another. What the black hole teaches is that even when gravity pulls everything inward, it cannot extinguish the grace of that transition. The universe does not waste its light. It simply changes where it lives. When we look up at that glowing ring in the dark, we are seeing the memory of something that understood how to end beautifully. Perhaps this is why the sight of it moves us so deeply, because it reminds us that we, too, can meet our own horizons with gentleness. Every life has its orbit, every heart its descent, every silence its flicker. And in that flicker, for as long as it lasts, there is the quiet truth that beauty does not resist the dark. It completes it. Light, for all its speed and confidence, cannot escape gravity unchanged. As it climbs away from a massive body, a planet, a star, or the curved abyss of a black hole, it begins to stretch. Its color shifts from blue to red. Its tone softens, and its energy wanes. Astronomers call this the gravitational redshift, a quiet signature of how gravity touches even what seems untouchable. The stronger the gravity, the greater the pull, and the deeper the color leans toward crimson before fading altogether. To imagine this, think of a song rising from a deep canyon. The notes reach your ears a little slower, their pitch lower, their tone mellowed by distance. In much the same way, light leaving a gravitational well loses a fraction of its energy to the climb. Its wavelength grows, expanding outward like a sigh. The color changes not because it forgets what it was, but because the universe asks it to move through time and effort. Even light grows weary when it ascends against gravity's embrace. Near a black hole, this shift becomes profound. The photons that escape from the edge of the event horizon must spend everything they have to rise into open space. They are stretched thin, their blue light turning red, their red fading toward black. From a distance, we see this transformation as a soft dimming, a fading heartbeat of color. To the observer, the fall of matter into the black hole slows and reddens, frozen in an eternal sunset. It is not death, but translation, light moving beyond what we can measure, slipping out of visible time. In a way, this is how all things in the universe say goodbye. Stars exhaust their fuel and redden before they fade. Galaxies moving away from us drift toward longer wavelengths, their light stretched by expansion itself. The cosmos is full of red whispers, the quiet record of everything that has ever moved away. Every farewell encoded in color. Even the background glow of the universe carries this tone. A faint afterimage of creation cooling into calm. The language of light is one of patience, telling us that all motion leaves behind a trail of hue, and all distance paints its own gradient of time. Every color is a memory stretching toward silence. The redshift is not merely a change in light. It is a story about energy, effort, and release. It reminds us that brightness and fading belong to the same spectrum, that to lose intensity is not to lose meaning. When light grows red, it is not vanishing. It is remembering its journey, softening into the fabric of space. Perhaps our own memories do the same, stretching gently through time, dimming in detail but glowing in warmth. And so, the red whisper continues across billions of years and countless distances, a message carried on the longest wavelengths. It tells us that even light, the swiftest thing in existence, cannot outrun connection. It can only change its tone. Somewhere, every color that has ever existed still moves through the dark, slow and enduring, humming softly in a key the universe never forgets. Light does not always travel straight. In the presence of gravity, it bends, curving around massive bodies as if following invisible trails etched into space itself. This bending, known as gravitational lensing, turns the black hole into both mirror and magnifier, reshaping the paths of photons until they wrap around its shadow. From afar, we see this as arcs of light, halos and echoes. The same object reflected many times in a single frame. The universe, through gravity's patient art, becomes its own lens, folding the view of itself into endless repetition. Near a black hole, this effect grows exquisite. Every beam of light that passes too close is deflected, some circling several times before escaping. For an observer falling inward, the experience would be surreal. The sky would appear to close in, stars would crowd the edges of sight, their images looping and multiplying, ahead, behind, above, all directions become one. The traveler might see their own reflection made of light that has curved around the whole, a ghostly echo of themselves arriving from every possible path. Time, in that instant, feels circular, as if all directions were leading home. This lensing is not illusion, but geometry, a truth written into the structure of space-time. Gravity bends both distance and duration, so what we perceive as light's path is also time's flow. The bending of light is the bending of memory. Photons that left a star billions of years ago can be redirected, delayed, or multiplied by their passage near massive objects. When we look through the gravitational lens, we see many moments at once, light from the past, the near present, and even light that has looped backward before reaching us. The universe, in this way, becomes a hall of mirrors for time. To fall through such a field is to experience reflection, not as image, but as presence. Each gleam of light that meets the eye carries a fragment of what once was, a trace of its journey, the memory of its beginning. Perhaps this is what consciousness feels like in its deepest layers, 1,000 impressions of self, overlapping, curving around the gravity of experience. We remember ourselves through these distortions, sometimes distant, sometimes near, yet all part of the same unfolding pattern. The lens does not lie. It simply reveals how many versions of a single truth can coexist. Memory, too, bends this way. The further we move from an event, the more softly it curves in our minds. The edges rounding, the light diffused, each recollection circles us differently, some brighter, some dimmer, until the story becomes an orbit of images. And within that orbit, we find meaning not in clarity, but in reflection. The universe remembers in loops, and so do we. Through the lens of time, even darkness becomes luminous. The black hole, in its silence, turns light into art and gravity into perspective. The traveler who sees themselves from every angle learns that no single view is the whole truth. What we are, what we've been, what we will become, all are reflections, bending endlessly around the gravity of our own existence. Every reflection is a kind of return, a fragment of light meeting itself after a long journey. In the curved space near a black hole, this truth becomes literal. The traveler sees their own image multiplied and bent, faces of themselves scattered through the dark. Yet the same principle lives quietly within the human mind. Every thought we have about who we are is light reflected inward, shaped by memory, emotion, and time. What we call self-awareness is not a single beam, but a constellation. 1,000 rays circling the gravity of consciousness, each one slightly altered, each one revealing a different angle of the same source, just as photons curve around a black hole before escaping. Our understanding of ourselves loops endlessly through the corridors of memory. We remember moments not as they were, but as they have bent in recollection. Each reflection deepens, softens, or distorts the truth, not to deceive, but to preserve meaning. The mind, like space-time, does not allow light to move straight. It folds and stretches the story until it fits the contours of emotion. Every version of us that exists in memory is both true and incomplete. A shifting image in an invisible mirror. This curvature is what makes the mind luminous. Without it, we would experience only the present, flat and colorless. But because our thoughts reflect, we can see depth, the dimension of time within the dimension of self. To think of oneself is to bend one's own light, to look backward through the lens of experience and forward through imagination. Awareness, then, is a form of gravitational lensing, where the soul's gravity bends its own radiance back upon itself. What we see is not the original spark, but the orbit of its echoes. Sometimes this reflection brings peace, other times confusion. There are days when we feel scattered, when our thoughts seem to move in circles, never finding stillness. Yet even that is part of the pattern. The universe itself curves endlessly, folding its light through countless turns, and in each turn there is coherence, not chaos. We, too, are bound by that geometry, not trapped, but shaped. The light of the mind does not vanish when it loops. It gathers, brightens, and becomes understanding. All that we see, all that we believe, all that we remember are reflections of the same presence looking inward. The stars we gaze at are echoes of light long gone. The thoughts we hold are echoes of who we have been. Both are messages traveling across time, bending through the invisible pull of gravity and love. The black hole reflects what falls toward it. The mind reflects what passes through it. And perhaps, at the deepest level, there is no difference between the two. To know oneself is to follow the light through its curves. To accept that clarity does not mean straightness, but honesty within distortion. The cosmos mirrors itself through galaxies and orbits. We mirror ourselves through thought and feeling. Every reflection, whether of space or mind, leads to the same realization that light, once born, never truly disappears. It simply finds its way home by turning inward. At the center of every black hole lies a mystery so profound that even light cannot describe it. It is called the singularity, a point where gravity becomes infinite, where space and time lose their meaning, and where the familiar laws of physics dissolve into silence. To imagine it is almost impossible. Density, the measure of how much matter occupies space, grows without limit here. All distances shrink to nothing. All moments collapse into one. It is not a place we can visit or measure. It is an idea, a boundary where understanding itself begins to bend. Physicists speak of the singularity as the point where equations fail. Einstein's geometry, which so elegantly explains the movement of planets and the bending of light, cannot hold together in that crushing gravity. Numbers reach beyond their limits and spill into infinity. Quantum theory, which rules the smallest particles, also falters, unable to define the fabric of space when the fabric itself has folded into a single, unbroken line. It is as though the universe, when pressed too tightly, stops speaking in the language we know and hums instead in a tone beyond comprehension. To think of it differently, imagine sound. Every vibration has a pitch, a rhythm, a beginning, and an end. But if you stretch a single note until time itself slows to nothing, that note no longer changes. It becomes constant, eternal, a resonance without motion. The singularity is like that, a place where the universe's song holds one endless tone. No rhythm, no beat, only a sustained hum of pure gravity, not chaos, but continuity so deep that it feels still. A note that never resolves, yet never fades. From the outside, all we see is its effect, the perfect curvature that draws everything inward. Matter vanishes into that point. And yet, paradoxically, the black hole itself seems calm. The event horizon remains smooth, the universe around it stable. The violence of the singularity is hidden within stillness. It does not burst outward like an explosion, but folds inward endlessly, a self-contained infinity. Scientists do not yet know what happens there, whether space stops or becomes something else entirely. Some suggest that every black hole might open into another universe, a rebirth on the other side of gravity's compression. Others believe the singularity is simply where existence pauses, storing what cannot yet be known. Philosophically, it feels less like destruction and more like concentration. All reality drawn into a single thought. Every atom that once burned in a star, every pulse of light that once warmed a world, folded now into an equation without solution. The singularity is not the end of information, but its deepest compression, waiting for a new expression. A single note held forever. That is what the singularity is. Not silence, but sound drawn so long that it becomes still. In its gravity, time stops counting, distance stops stretching, and energy remembers what it was before motion began. The universe listens, holding that eternal tone at its core, waiting for the moment when it might, once again, unfold into melody. At the heart of a black hole lies a silence not only of sound, but of knowledge. The laws that govern the universe, so elegant, so consistent, begin to contradict one another as they approach that center. Einstein's general relativity, which describes the grand sweep of galaxies and the smooth bending of space-time, tells us that gravity dominates all. Quantum mechanics, which explains the flicker of particles and the chaos of the very small, insists that uncertainty rules everything. Both are true, and yet, at the singularity, both fail. The closer we look, the further these truths drift apart. Relativity imagines the universe as a fabric, continuous, curved, predictable. It treats space and time as a single, connected surface. Gravity, in this vision, is not a force but the shape of that surface, bending around mass like a soft blanket around a stone. Quantum theory, meanwhile, speaks in probabilities. It tells us that the universe is not smooth, but granular, built from discrete quanta that flicker in and out of being. Space, in this language, is not a fabric, but a foam, a restless sea of uncertainty. Between these two visions lies the gap into which the black hole quietly falls. When matter collapses beyond the event horizon, relativity predicts infinite curvature, space-time folding to a point. But quantum physics refuses infinity. It demands limits, quantized energy, discrete steps, somewhere between these two extremes. The truth must rest, though we do not yet know where. Scientists have sought a bridge between them for decades, a theory of quantum gravity, one that might unite the cosmic and the microscopic, strings vibrating in higher dimensions. loops of spacetime knitting themselves together. All are attempts to reconcile the two stories the universe tells about itself. But the black hole remains the place where those stories still diverge. It is humbling to realize that after centuries of discovery, we still stand at the edge of a mystery that refuses to yield. Yet there is beauty in that admission. The unknown is not a void, but a promise, a reminder that knowledge is not ownership, but relationship. The universe does not hide its secrets maliciously. It simply asks for patience. What we cannot yet measure, we can still imagine, and in imagining, we inch closer to understanding. Every equation is a question written in another language. Perhaps the black hole exists to remind us that certainty is not the goal of science. Wonder is. The very conflict between relativity and quantum theory is evidence that the cosmos is more intricate than our metaphors allow. It teaches humility, urging us to accept that truth may be both continuous and discrete, both curved and uncertain, both everything and nothing, all at once. We do not yet know what happens in the heart of a black hole, but in that unknowing, there is grace. It is the still point of inquiry, the horizon of a thought. Science, like light, keeps bending toward it, tracing our arcs of curiosity through the dark. And though we may never see beyond that veil, the journey itself is enough, a quiet testament that even in mystery, the universe continues to speak. There is a quiet comfort in not knowing. Beyond the boundaries of knowledge, where equations fall apart and instruments grow silent, the universe continues on, calm, steady, untroubled by our confusion. The black hole, with its invisible core and unfathomable depths, stands as a reminder that mystery is not failure, but balance. Some things are meant to be observed, not solved, to be felt, not explained. Ignorance, too, can be a form of peace. For centuries, humanity has chased light, dissecting, naming, mapping every shadow of the cosmos. Yet, the closer we come to understanding, the more we discover that each answer unfolds into new questions. The singularity, the collapse of time, the curvature of space. These are not riddles to be conquered, but poems written in another grammar. The universe does not withhold truth out of cruelty. It simply speaks in a language too vast for a single mind to translate. In that silence, where comprehension ends, wonder begins. We are often taught that knowing is control, that to understand is to possess. But the cosmos invites a gentler way of seeing. To stand beneath the stars and admit ignorance is to align oneself with their enormity. To recognize that the same laws that bind galaxies also hold us in their care. The unknown does not diminish us, it completes us. It reminds us that we are participants in a story larger than comprehension, and that our role is not to master it, but to witness it with reverence. The scientists who study black holes do not claim certainty, only curiosity. They measure the echoes of invisible things, the ripples of gravitational waves, the faintest hints of matter before it vanishes. What they find is not finality, but humility. The deeper they look, the more they see the edge of understanding glowing faintly, like a horizon just beyond reach. This is not defeat, it is devotion. The act of searching becomes the purpose itself, an offering to the vast and patient dark. In life, too, there are singularities of experience, moments where meaning folds inward and logic falls silent, the loss of someone we love, the first glimpse of beauty we cannot explain, the stillness after a long struggle. These are the black holes of the heart, places where knowledge cannot follow, and yet they do not destroy us. They reshape us. Out of their gravity comes empathy, perspective, grace. To accept that some things cannot be understood is to make peace with the fabric of being itself. Ignorance, too, can be a form of peace, not the ignorance of denial, but the openness of trust, the awareness that not every truth must be caught, not every silence must be filled. To dwell in mystery is to live in harmony with the rhythm of the universe, where questions breathe longer than answers. The cosmos does not rush to resolve its story. It unfolds at its own pace. And in that patient unfolding, perhaps the greatest wisdom lies not in knowing everything, but in finding serenity in what we may never know. The black hole is not only an ending, it is also a breath, the universe inhaling. Everything that falls into its gravity seems to vanish, but what disappears in one place often reappears in another, transformed. Matter becomes energy. Energy becomes motion, and the cycle begins again. In this quiet rhythm of loss and renewal, the cosmos sustains itself. What we call destruction is, in truth, a phase of creation so deep and silent that we mistake it for absence. Astronomers have found that black holes, especially the supermassive ones at the centers of galaxies, are not agents of chaos, but architects of structure. Their immense gravity holds stars in orbit, shaping the galaxies like potters shaping clay. When they feed, they release energy across space, bursts of radiation and jets of plasma that ripple through the galactic medium, heating clouds of gas and stirring the material from which new stars are born. The balance between devouring and giving defines their role. Without these dark hearts, galaxies would collapse inward or sprawl apart, unable to find harmony. The process is circular, a slow and elegant exchange between light and shadow. A star lives, shines, and dies, its ashes drifting through space. Some of that dust is drawn toward the black hole, where it spirals inward, glowing with the friction of the accretion disk before crossing the event horizon. In that moment, it becomes part of the black hole's mass, deepening its gravity, strengthening its pull. Yet elsewhere, the energy released from that same act triggers the birth of new stars. The universe feeds on itself, not in hunger, but in rhythm, an endless breathing between compression and expansion. Even time seems to participate in this balance. Galaxies evolve over billions of years, each phase dependent on what came before. The black hole, once born from the death of a star, becomes a seed for new constellations. The universe breathes through them, inhaling matter, exhaling light. The darkness that consumes also sustains, ensuring that no particle, no photon is ever truly wasted. It is the ultimate conservation, written into the fabric of existence. The cosmos breathes through the mouths of its shadows. To understand this is to see that the black hole is not an anomaly, but a pulse, the deep exhalation of space itself. When we gaze at one, we are witnessing the universe in the act of renewal, energy falling inward, silence turning outward, life and death exchanging their masks. Everything that is lost returns, reformed, somewhere beyond sight. In this way, the universe teaches us that endings are illusions of perspective. Nothing disappears, it only changes form. The black hole is both grave and womb, consuming the old to make space for the new. The stars we see tonight may carry the atoms of a light that once fell into darkness long ago. The cosmos, vast and patient, continues to breathe, drawing all things in, then letting them go, forever in balance, forever in motion. Every atom in your body once belonged to a star. The carbon in your breath, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones. All of it was forged in the nuclear hearts of suns that lived and died long before Earth was born. When those stars reached the end of their lives, they exploded outward, scattering their elements through space like seeds. Over millions of years, those remnants drifted, gathered, and formed new clouds. From those clouds came new stars, new planets, and eventually, you. You are what the universe dreamed into form. In the beginning, there was only hydrogen and helium, the simplest, lightest gases. It was within the pressure of stars that complexity began. Fusion transformed simplicity into variety, shaping the building blocks of everything to come. The heavier elements, oxygen, nitrogen, gold, emerged not in peace, but in the fiery collapse of supernovae. Those cosmic deaths were not endings, but acts of creation. Each one writing new possibilities into the chemistry of the cosmos. The universe, in this sense, is a story told through transformation. Stars giving their substance to all that follows. Across the ages, those atoms have wandered. The oxygen you breathe may have come from a star that shone in another galaxy. The hydrogen in the water you drink has existed since the first moments after the Big Bang. The particles that make up your body have traveled through the life cycles of countless suns, merging and parting, burned and reborn. You are a collage of cosmic memory, a constellation of matter arranged for a brief and brilliant moment into consciousness. To live is to carry the echo of these explosions, not as violence, but as heritage. Every heartbeat is a pulse of stellar rhythm, every breath a continuation of that ancient exchange between fire and void. The stars that died gave you form, and in turn, you give them meaning when you think, when you feel, when you love. The universe briefly knows itself again. The atoms that once drifted aimlessly through the dark have found coherence in your awareness. For this short while, stardust has learned to wonder about its own origin. And one day, when your body returns to the earth, those same atoms will scatter once more, carried by wind, by water, by time. They will find new forms in plants, in clouds, perhaps in another mind that looks up at the sky and feels the same quiet awe. The cycle continues, not as repetition, but as renewal. Nothing truly ends. It only changes the way it shines. You are what the universe dreamed into form. Every cell is a remembrance. Every thought a flicker of the ancient fire that once lit the heavens. To exist is to participate in the memory of stars, to keep their light moving forward, softened into life, into awareness, into wonder. The cosmos does not forget what it creates. It transforms it into something that can look back. and see. Every night when you close your eyes, you practice a kind of return. The world fades, the thoughts dissolve, and you drift into the same stillness that once filled the early universe, the quiet before the first stars began to burn. Sleep, in its simplest truth, is the body's way of remembering peace. It is a small rehearsal of cosmic rest, a gentle surrender to the silence that holds all things together. The stars too rest in their own way, burning, collapsing, becoming light, then darkness, then light again. And we, made of their memory, follow that rhythm in miniature every time we let go. When you drift into sleep, the boundaries of self soften, and time loses its sharpness. The mind stops counting and begins to float. In that moment, you are closer to the universe than you are while awake, part of the same vast breathing that expands and contracts across galaxies. Just as stars collapse to be reborn, you too withdraw into the dark, not to vanish, but to renew. What seems like stillness from the outside is, within, a quiet transformation. Cells mend, thoughts settle, the heart keeps its steady orbit. The silence you enter is not emptiness, but restoration, the same kind of quiet that fills the spaces between the stars. The ancients once believed that sleep was the cousin of death, but the black hole reminds us that endings can be soft. To fall into that darkness is not to be erased, but to join the stillness that underlies everything. The cosmos is not afraid of silence, it thrives in it. The galaxies turn in a soundless ballet. The stars burn without a voice, and yet nothing feels incomplete. There is harmony in quiet, meaning in pause, beauty in what doesn't speak. Sleep, in its cosmic symmetry, is our nightly alignment with that truth. The awareness that we belong to the calm that surrounds creation. If you listen closely to the night, you can almost hear it. The hum of existence, low and endless, like the faint vibration of gravity itself. Every being, every particle, every orbit moves to that same rhythm. To rest is to join it again, to let go of the noise of thought and fall back into the universe's pulse. This is not escape, but return. The starlight remembering how to glow inwardly for a while before shining again. So when you finally drift off, know that you are not falling away, but falling home. The same silence that holds the stars also holds you, tenderly, without urgency, without demand. Sleep is not the absence of life, but its quiet continuation, the pause between cosmic breaths. The universe has always known this rhythm. It is the lullaby it sings to itself. And tonight, as you rest beneath its vast, invisible arms, you are part of that song. A small note in the eternal harmony between light, darkness, and peace. Outro, you are made of stardust. If your thoughts are still wandering, that's all right. The universe has always needed dreamers, those who drift softly between what is known and what might still be. Every breath you take tonight carries the same elements once born in the hearts of stars. Carbon, oxygen, iron, all remnants of ancient fire now resting within you. You are, quite literally, the universe remembering itself, a constellation made of dust and warmth, shaped into consciousness for a brief, beautiful moment. Outside, the stars are still awake, They keep their silent watch, shimmering like small heartbeats across the dark. And somewhere between their distant glow and your own breathing, there is no distance at all, only the quiet recognition that you belong here, that you are part of the same unfolding story of light becoming life. So rest easy now. The cosmos is wide, but it is gentle. It hums softly around you, holding you the way gravity holds the stars. You are made of stardust, and the night is keeping you safe. If you're still awake, you can stay for another quiet story.